Here, listen to this.
AP. As far as I know, I was the first staffer to erase information from a story because we were threatened by Hamas, which happened at the very end of 2008. We had a great reporter in Gaza, a Palestinian, who had always been really an excellent reporter. We had a detail in a story. The detail was a crucial one. It was that Hamas fighters were dressed as civilians and were being counted as civilians in the death toll.
Wow. Big surprise, huh? Real shocker.
An important thing to know, that went out in an AP story. The reporter called me a few hours later. It was clear that someone had spoken to him. And he told me, I was on the desk in Jerusalem, so I was kind of writing the story from the main bureau in Jerusalem. And he said, Mati, you have to take that detail out of the story. And it was clear that someone had threatened him. I took the detail out of the story. I suggested to our editors that we note in an editor's note that we were now complying with Hamas censorship. I was overruled. And from that point...
That is crazy that he was overruled. Like, I understand why you would change it to not put one of your reporters in danger. I would say that it's probably the ethical thing to do. But to not state that is crazy.
Point in time, the AP, like all of its sister organizations, collaborates with Hamas censorship in Gaza. What does that mean? You'll see a lot of dead civilians and you won't see dead militants. You won't have a clear idea of what the Hamas military strategy is. And this is the kicker. The center of the coverage will be a number, a casualty number that is provided to the press by something called the Gaza Health Ministry, which is Hamas. And we've been doing that since 2008.
So all of the information that people are getting out of this is from Hamas. Is this surprising? Well, it's good to have, like, I mean, everybody knew this was happening, right? We all knew this was happening. But it's one thing to know it's happening, and it's another thing to have it confirmed by a person that worked there.
And it's a way of basically settling the story before you get into any other information. Because when you put, when you say 50 Palestinians were killed and one Israeli on a given day,
it's the framing.
It doesn't matter what else you say. The numbers kind of tell their own story, and it's a way of kind of settling the story with something that sounds like a concrete statistic, and the statistic is being, given to us by one of the combatant sides. But because the reporters sympathize with that side, they're happy to play along. So since 2008, certainly since 2014, when we had another serious war in Gaza, the press has not been covering in Gaza. The press has been essentially an amplifier for one of the most poisonous ideologies on earth. Hamas has figured out how to make the press amplify its messaging rather than covering Hamas.
I think that's exactly what they're doing, by the way. I think he's completely right.
Western reporters in Gaza. All of the reporters in Gaza.
I think, by the way, the fact that we don't go after these journalists and these press people that are openly publishing propaganda for terrorists and charge them for treason, I think it's a huge mistake. I think it's a mistake that we didn't do that in Vietnam. I think all of the people that were pushing positive stuff about the Viet Cong and then pushing narratives to them, we should have charged them for treason after that.
Are Palestinians, and those people fall into three categories. Some of them identify with Hamas, some of them are intimidated by Hamas and won't cross Hamas, which makes a lot of sense. I wouldn't want to cross Hamas either. And the third category is people who actually belong to Hamas.
There you go.
That's where the information from Gaza is coming from, and if you're credulous, then of course you're going to get a story that makes Israel look pretty bad.
That's insane. So they're just out there. So AP is basically, at least according to him, publishing literal Hamas propaganda. Wow. You mean sedition? So sedition is going against your country. Treason is siding with another organization against your country. That's at least what my understanding of the difference between the two things are. So it would be treason because this is an oppositional force. Does that make sense? And not surprised, unfortunately. Is the flattened city fake? Well, I mean, why do you think that they would need to reframe the conversation in a way that makes it look like they don't have combatants there? It's so they can make it look like they're only killing innocent people, but they're not. A lot of these people are Hamas, and it seems like that's the case. I mean, and I think that's probably true, too. It is. And I bet it will probably just continue to get worse until we get somebody in charge that's willing to do that, right? Treason is when you give aid or comfort to the enemy. I mean, would you consider intentionally running propaganda for the enemy as giving aid to the enemy? I would. I absolutely would. And I don't know who wouldn't. I think anybody would. So I hope that that's what happens. I want to charge these people for treason. I do. I want to charge them for treason and, capital punishment, the whole thing, right? And if it's found out that that's actually the case, right? I mean, I wouldn't obviously, do it without that reason. But yeah, in general, let me go and look at these other ones too, because there's been a whole lot more of these. By the way, so Red Lobster to bring back endless shrimp that brought it to bankruptcy. Entire customer base, black people, offers endless shrimp promotion. Blacks only steal all shrimp. Is that true? It causes your company to go bankrupt. Hire new black CIA brings back endless shrimp. There's no way, right? No, bro, like, do I need to go to Red Lobster? I've never been to Red Lobster. The circle? Yeah, bro, it just will never end. Oh my fucking god. And let me go. I'll look at some of these other posts here that I haven't really gotten around to yet. But some of this other shit is just so fucking ridiculous. Oh, here it is. Let me go and find this here. No, here we go.
Manhattan Institute senior fellow Chris Rufo has been investigating widespread fraud in California. In a new report, he found that fraud losses during the Newsom administration totaled at least $180 billion.
$180 billion. Let's do a little bit of math. Just real quick. I want you guys to understand what that means. This is really substantial. There are 59 countries with a nominal GDP over 180 billion. So that means that the world is over 200 countries. Over the amount of fraud in California is greater than the GDP of the majority of countries in the world. That's right. That's where we're at. You understand? Listen to it again.
$180 billion. California Governor Newsom responded to that report saying it relies on, quote, guesses. Newsom says California has been a leader on
It's only 150 billion. Okay?
Combating fraud.
It's only
Chris
150.
Rufo joins us now. Chris, what's your response to Newsom's response?
Yeah, well, Gavin Newsom is definitely becoming associated with the word fraud, but it's not for fighting it, it's for enabling it. And look, even under the most conservative estimates, experts from Harvard, from the Department of Health and Human Services, from LexisNexis Fraud Division have told us that the fraud in California is unprecedented. It represents the largest financial crime in American history.
Oh my
and scammers have been stealing billions of dollars per year. Some estimates say as high as $50 or $60 billion a year from the state of California.
Keep this in mind whenever they tell you that we can't pay for childcare for Americans. Keep this in mind whenever they tell you that teachers have to earn $50,000 a year. Keep this in mind whenever they tell you that the real problem is some fat girl that buys food stamps, Funyuns on food stamps. That's not the real problem. The real problem is the billions of dollars that is going out the door to fraud so we can finance an entire underclass of non-Western migrants that shouldn't even be in the fucking country. And so they can give each other kickbacks and import the rest of their country, the rest of their family from the shithole country that they came from. That's exactly the reason.
Federal taxpayers who actually send money to the state. And so, look, this reputation is catching up with the governor. He's going to try to run away from it, but the facts are not on his side.
So what's the most egregious example of fraud that you found?
Yes. The answer to that should just be yes.
Sure. Well, really, Medi-Cal is the 100-pound fraud within the system. And
that's the Medi-Cal is the California medical. I mean, it's obvious.
And HHS officials told me that they estimate that the state of California is now losing up to $50 billion a year to fraud. And what I've noticed in the reporting is that it seems
$50 billion. $50 billion a year. Oh my God.
It's like every criminal enterprise from around the world has looked at California as a vulnerability. They're seizing. In our reporting, we show that neo-Nazi prison gangs, Romanian fraud scammers, death row inmates, and foreign fraud gangs have all been ripping off the state of California to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars. And we're just looking at the tip of the iceberg.
Look at this. It's insane.
You know, the buck stops with the governor, clearly, but how many people are dropping the ball on this? Because if it's that easy to steal money,
they're putting the ball down. They're doing this on purpose because they're making money off of it. The biggest mistake in this entire controversy is believing that it wasn't intentional. This entire dysfunction is by design. They've created this dysfunction so they can fund all of their different bullshit. Like, I think this is what my opinion is. I don't have any basis for this, or at least I have a minor amount of basis for this, is that I think that that's where a lot of the funding for these different protests and these different events comes from. I think that it's redirected fraud money that's gone through 3 or 4 different laundering attempts, that now it's money that's being used for these protests and these events. I think that's what's happening. And so what they're doing is they're effectively funding their own political ideology by indirectly enabling fraud. That's what they're doing, and it's happening on purpose.
Got to be a lot of failures along the chain.
Yeah, well, what's happened is that essentially California is operating many of its public programs, in essence, on the honor system. There's very little oversight. During the pandemic,
it is totally by design. They are allowing this to happen because they want it to fund these migrants. They want to overrun the country with these people. And they know that if they create these systems that don't have checks, that these people will take advantage of the systems because they, again, educate them in how to do that. And then they're taking advantage of these systems, they're paying into the systems, and then they vote to continue the systems.
When California was distributing tens of billions of dollars in unemployment insurance, there were only 2 state employees in charge of guarding against fraud for the entire system. And even worse, some of those employees that were in charge of guarding various programs were committing fraud themselves. Right. We've seen this.
Ah, wow. Who could have guessed?
Through criminal indictments, and it goes all the way to the top. It's outrageous.
If there are not... Look, I think we need to solve this problem. I think this problem needs to be solved. And it needs to be solved severely. That's what I think. I think this is crazy. This is insane that we put up with this. The fact that we let this happen, and the thing is that here's the worst part about it. If these people get off with a slap on the wrist, that is the best advertisement for more people doing it again.
And that's a good place to leave it. Outrageous indeed. Chris Rufo, thank you so much for bringing this report to us. We do appreciate it very much.
Insane. Crazy, ridiculous, totally unheard of. Like, I don't even know what to say. Penny for being vague. I mean, I would charge a lot of the people for, like, I mean, I'd put them up on charges for capital punishment. I would. If you steal $1 billion, you need to be up on, you need to have your head on a block. That's what I think. That's what my opinion is. Like, that's $1 billion. And that should be for politicians. It should be for scammers. It should be for, fake information. Like, even $1 million? Well, I'm just saying, like, I mean, $1 billion's the easy one, right? Like, that's what should happen. Like, that is the ethical decision to make. That is the correct moral decision to make. So what is this here? Parents of U.S.-born siblings in MacDill bomb plot evaded by deportation for decades. So what is this?
Not subject to any foreign power is pretty straightforward.
Oh, this is some other, okay, this is something else. So what happened here?
Just breaking moments ago, the FBI indicting a brother and sister in connection with the placement of an explosive device at MacDill Air Force Base in Florida.
God.
The FBI says Alan Zhang, who is believed to have planted the device, is currently in China.
The device did not detonate, but minutes after the device was planted, a 911 call reported that a bomb had been placed on the base. When that phone call came in, no location for that bomb was in fact given in that 911 call.
The device was found on the base 6 days later. Thankfully, no one was hurt.
6 days.
FBI Tampa also arresting the suspect's sister, and Mary Zhang, who is charged with accessory after the fact and tampering with evidence. No motive was given, but MacDill Air Force Base is the headquarters of U.S. Central Command.
That is insane. And look at this, they are both birthright citizens, born to illegal immigrant parents from China, tried to bomb an Air Force base in American soil. Whoever they were subject to the jurisdiction thereof wasn't the United States of America. 2 Chinese anchor babies tried to bomb a United States Air Force base. Again, the idea that people should put up with this fucking birthright citizenship is ridiculous, man. It is crazy. After all that time, why? Who cares why? They should have never been citizens in the first place. It was a mistake. And this is the type of stuff that I was talking about. This problem would not exist if you didn't give them that opportunity. They should have never had that right. They should have never had birthright citizenship in the first place. And to the extent that they do, you will have problems like this. And that's it. What's going to keep happening? Nothing. I know. It's so fucking annoying. The fruits are coming to maturation. Yeah, and it's going to keep getting worse, too, until people realize it. And was there ever a Chinese terrorist before? Well, I don't know. It's not about, like, where they're coming from. Like, I don't care if they're Chinese, they're from Lebanon, they're from Britain. At the end of the day, they don't need to be here, right? They're not supposed to be here. And the fact that their parents are coming over, and we'll probably figure out more about this in the future, but Chinese Americans attempted exploding an IED there. The U.S. has uniquely insane immigration policies for quite some time. Yeah, I mean, again, they need to just start deporting these people and just doing it. Like, I don't know why it's not happening. It's very, very frustrating. And don't include Lebanon in that. We don't do that. Well, I mean, to be fair, you guys actually did. Well, I mean, listen, man. Listen, I know a lot of people from Lebanon. They're great people, but you guys did have that one dude crash out. You did. You had that one guy crash out, and then he shot himself. Remember that? That was a bad one. Like, that guy. And hey, we took care of him for you. We took care of him. You're welcome, by the way. But, like, Jesus. Actually, no, he took care of himself. That's right. He shot himself. So, yeah. No, you guys have your own problems over there, too. And, like, I'm sure we have our problems as well. We have a lot of them. But, like, you know, it's not anybody's specific fault, right? That's what my point is, right? It's not about the country. It's the fact that they don't need to be here. Why do we have so many Chinese in our country? I mean, there's a lot of Chinese in general, right? So, like, on average, there's going to be more of them. And what is this?
power is pretty straightforward.
Then lawful permanent residents.
Oh, Jesus Christ. It's more of that bullshit. I want to see if there's any more of this information out there or not. According to Judge Kentanji, bombing a U.S. military base makes these people American citizens. It is so ridiculous. Birthright citizenship is a threat to our national security. Well, then why are we waiting for the Supreme Court to tell us if it's okay or not? Shouldn't you just remove it and find the people that are taking advantage of it and get rid of it, and then order people not to, like, just simply not acknowledge it anymore? Like, I mean, that's what they need to do. Like, I mean, if the Supreme Court doesn't strike down birthright citizenship, I think Trump should just ignore them. I do. Because what happens when you have people that have controlled and they've taken over the enforcement mechanisms? What do? Yeah, I think Trump should totally just ignore them. And just say, fuck it, man. Why are the politicians not in a gulag? Well, I don't know. There are tons of Chinese-run brothels and massage parlors in SoCal. Don't ask me how I know. Well, listen, man, I don't think anybody has a problem with it happening very low-key. It's a few massage parlors, and maybe they do something else. Nobody really cares about that. It's whenever it's happening at an industrial scale is the problem. That's the real issue. I mean, you're always going to have a little bit of things that fly under the radar. It's not a big deal. But this is happening on a much, much larger level. And brother, should turn its constitution into a suicide pact for the country. I like to hear that. That's true. And these are the people that arrest the rest of the parents of two U.S.-born citizens. Oh, my fucking God. Well, there it is. 2 Chinese anchor babies who wage war on behalf of China are just as American as George Washington. The Constitution says so. Oh, my fucking God. These people are ridiculous. Yeah, I don't know what the hell this is. Actually, people getting handles on these parlors. Maybe Nick Shirley can investigate. I don't want to have Nick Shirley investigate that. I think that seems like it's fine. But there is, yeah, and then here's another one. The scale of fraud reporting is staggering. California is losing $50 billion a year just to medical fraud. That is more than the budgets for 29 states. That's all the money that's being funneled away. No, here we go. Take a look at this.
Right. So we're lowering that to 3,000, and we're also targeting the 2 counties here, and we're going to do enhanced surveillance. And from now on, anyone who wires money out from one of these money service businesses has to check a box saying whether they are on public assistance. And if you are on public assistance, we are going to start pushing that you cannot wire money out of the country.
Oh, gosh. Well, what if they lie and they don't tell us for public assistance?
Well, then
that gives you grounds to deport them and put them in jail.
That's a crime, lying on a federal form.
We're going to follow it up, and we are going to push that you can no longer do that. The American people, our generosity has been taken advantage of.
Our generosity is funding al-Shabaab, an Iranian interest it could be.
Well, the money...
I mean, this is really bad.
The money is supposed to go for alleged asylum seekers and their families and children. And if you were wiring the money out of the country...
Yeah, you're going to need asylum in America.
One of 2 things must be true. You are getting too much money, and your benefits should be cut, or you are part of this conspiracy. Where did that money come from? We're going to find it out. That's what Treasury does. IRS has a group called Criminal Investigations.
This is CI.
Criminal Investigations was the group.
And so the thing is that I'm so thankful for this guy, because he's one of the only guys that understands the way the systems work. See, basically, if you understand the way the system works, you can figure out where you can strangle the system and where you can get choke points and stop people from doing bad stuff. This guy is great. Scott Bessent's amazing. I love him. And sounds very toothless. Well, everything is toothless unless you enforce it, right? And I think that it should obviously be enforced. And I totally agree with that. I want to see that, obviously. But we'll see what happens.